Star Wars was inspired by me wanting to tell a story that was exciting.
You must learn the ways of the Force.
I wanted to put it in a context that was easily accessible, so I chose the Saturday matinee serial from the 30s, because one of the interesting things to me about that was that sometimes you come into these stories in the middle, and you never get to see the beginning or the end. So I decided to do one where you were coming in the middle and you go to the end. I've been inspired by all great filmmakers and all great storytellers throughout history. When I was in film school, I gained a fascination with Japanese film, with Kurosawa. He was my hero, and so his influence was very great on my work at that point. And I'd started out studying anthropology, and I'd learned about mythology and eventually went into film. But I was able to sort of use some of my earlier educational experience to help me go through a movie like this. But ultimately, it's the recreation of all these things into something that's completely new that makes Star Wars what it is today.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
The first film was really hard. It was painful. It was unpleasant. We never had enough time or enough money, and we were always compromising on everything, and it was a difficult experience all the way around.
Certainly has courage.
Good will it do us if he gets himself killed?
I didn't expect the film to be successful at all. I don't think anybody did. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I realized that this was my opportunity to change my situation and take more control of the work that I was doing, because I was determined to make the 3 movies anyway. That was my prime motive. So everything I did was to protect myself in a way that I could actually get those 3 movies made. The Phantom Menace and the subsequent 2 movies were the backstory for episodes 4, 5, and 6. And because I wasn't going to make it into a movie, I didn't write it in order to fit the technology. So if it couldn't be made. And now that we had developed digital technology by that time, and I was free to basically do anything I wanted, I was able to go to places that we already talked about in the last 3 movies, Coruscant, the capital, and the fact that there are aliens everywhere, and all those kind of things that I had to put in a little tiny bar that was very controlled. Now I could open up the world and have aliens everywhere. I love the story, and I love the fact that I was able to tell the entire story of Darth Vader. And I think it really rounds out the whole series and tells the full story of what happened from the beginning to the end.
Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
Why does somebody who starts out being good become bad?
Your thoughts dwell on your mother.
Afraid to lose her, I think.
What does that got to do with anything?
Everything. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Whenever you're at the leading edge of technology, there are things that you try to do, but you can't get them done, either for lack of time or lack of money or lack of being able to advance the technology where you need it to go. And that was the genesis of going back and finishing off some of the things that were half finished in the first 3 films. In the second 3, there's very little that, because of the fact that I had more time and more money and more technology, there are very few things that actually were left to work on and improve. One of them that we did improve was that we were trying desperately to get a digital Yoda into the first film, Phantom Menace. We just couldn't make it work. So we came close. We got Jar Jar and Sebulba and Watto and a lot of other characters, but we couldn't get Yoda because he was much harder to do. And so when we finally did get that accomplished, which was before the second film, we went back and put the digital Yoda back in the first film as it was intended to be.
May the Force be with you.
The second trilogy was a lot of fun. It was challenging in that we were pushing the boundaries of technology, but that was exciting. I mean, we were doing a lot of things that could never be done before and moving into areas that we didn't know where we were or what was going on. And that was fun. It was exciting. It was like an exploration of the unknown. I was trying to get digital projectors into the theaters. Bob Zemeckis and Jim Cameron came and said, look, we want to get 3D into the theaters. And now that you've got digital theaters, we can actually do that. Would you join us in showing the theater owners that you can do 3D? And I said, well, that'd be good, because in order to do 3D, you have to have digital theaters. So it would promote my idea of digital theaters. But then when I saw the test that we did, which was about 5 minutes long, of Star Wars in 3D, I realized how great it was and how great it looked.
Oh, my.
Watching a film in 3D, it's hard to explain. It's the difference between watching a film in black and white and a film in color. It works in black and white, but it also works better in color. The depth brings a lot of reality to the digital characters. You just feel that they're more realistic. They actually take up the real space instead of being sort of plastered on the screen in 2D.
Howard.
Also, in terms of depth and telling the story, there's a lot of issues where things are going on in the background that are very important, and you notice them more in 3D than you do in 2D.
There's always a bigger fish.
I believe very strongly with 3D that I don't like the gimmick part of it. I don't like things coming out into the audience. I like everything to be behind the proscenium. I think that's where the real advantage of 3D is. It just makes a much better experience out of it. 3D and conversion of 3D is not a technical thing. It's an art that you need artists for. We had an advantage which most people who try to do conversions don't have, in the fact that the people who've worked on the film, especially in visual effects, Dennis Muren, John Knoll, they were there on the set every day taking measurements, seeing things. So you really, in order to do a good conversion, you have to have somebody that says, no, this person was sitting in front of that person. That person was sitting way back in the background. This was over here. So they can remember and have notes that say where everything is. So by having that extra information and having the skill set of ILM with their experience, their knowledge of what went on the actual set, we were able, I think, to create a really good 3D experience. Star Wars was designed to be on the big screen. This will be the third generation that will be allowed to see it on the big screen. And to me, that's a great plus, because the film was designed as an immersive experience. And I know when you're young, it's just an overwhelmingly powerful event.
We'll handle this.